use them, so I will just put that as a caveat up front. And some of them look a little easier to use than others, but your actual mileage may vary. So we'll cover those toward the very end of the session. So some of this will be a little bit on the overhead, and some of this will actually be hands-on. We'll go onto the net and take a look at those tools themselves. So I will sit, I'll be a little bit lower. From the planning and organizing standpoint, I pulled together some of these project management tools. I've actually broken them into two groupings. This is what I would call the free tools. Now there are some caveats with that. Quite often, when you are in the world of Web 2.0, free sometimes has big quotation marks around it, and I will try to highlight for you when free really means free versus introductory. So there are a number of tools that offer smaller plans that are free, and for more elaborate plans or more users or more information, there are charges. So for some of you in maybe larger organizations, that may be less useful. On the other hand, you could run a very robust, you could pick from a menu of these tools and probably anywhere from $100 to $500 a month, you could have some really incredible, robust tools at your fingertips. And so again, you know best what your budgeting parameters are, and you'd be able to decide. But at least I can show you, introduce you to some of those. And then I also have a set, you'll see on your next handout, a set of what I'm calling the paid project management tools. Some of them are more visually appealing. These, for the most part, really have kind of that 30-day free trial offer, which I don't really think of as free. Probably of all of those, I like the looks of the one called 5 p.m. the best. Again, your actual mileage may vary. What appeals to one may not appeal to the other. You have to kind of get in and play with each one of these. But these are the tools that offer more of a paid approach. Basecamp is one that, if you've heard of web-based tools, pretty popular. Offers a very nice collaboration feature. So if you find that that's something you're really interested in, getting people from different departments to talk to each other, that could be well worth the admission price. And I'll give you a screenshot of those, although we won't talk about these in detail. But we will go back to project management. We'll hit the escape key. We'll go out to Firefox, which is the free browser that I use. And I also use a free tool called TabMix Plus because I can't just live with one browser window open at a time. And you'll see from my little list here I have 20 or 30 tabs open quite often, which, don't get me started, my family doesn't understand. So the first free project management tool we'll look at is called Clocking IT, Clocking It. And I like Clocking IT because it offers a really robust set of features and is as close to free as I think any of the tools that are listed. All of these have a little bit different sign-in process. There we go. So when you come into Clocking IT, you can start kind of over here on the left-hand side with the tutorial. It'll walk you through how to set up all of your individual projects. One of the things that I like about this is, now, again, because this is web-based, a lot of these companies have not a whole lot of resources available, so they can change their revenue model at any time. For the moment, I like Clocking IT because it offers a really robust set of tools, and you can have kind of an unlimited number of projects that you want to manage. So that's sort of why he's kind of on the left-hand side there. Lots of tutorials, lots of ways to get started. I just kind of pulled together a couple of, I spent most of last winter going back and forth to Illinois to help my parents move out of their house. So moving projects were very much on my mind when I started to put this together. So I kind of created a series of potential moves for people. I actually played around with the idea of starting a business at one point. I mean, if you're 75 and your kids don't live in town, and you've got 5 bedrooms full of stuff, who cleans it out for you? Seriously, if you're looking for a great business opportunity, I think about that, because I think that's a real need. So I pulled together a potential project for Alice. And what it will let me do, I can create a whole series of tasks. I can filter. I can browse open tasks. I don't think I have a whole lot open, a couple of them. One of the things that you can do is to set it up so that it will pop up in your email if you have a series of tasks that you know need to be accomplished. Many of these tools will allow you to do a daily summary of open tasks, which I think is very handy. You can create a timeline. You can kind of see when those tasks are due in relationship to each other. For you Gantt chart fans out there, scheduling, Gantt charting, we do have some options.
Does it have relationships between the tasks?
I believe it does. I haven't gone as in-depth with it, because I'm not a real detail-oriented person, so part of my struggle working with some of these tools is how much detail do I want to get for the projects that I'm working on. I believe that it does. When I went back and I looked at these multiple projects that I put together. There's your Gantt chart. So if you wanted to see dependencies, this would allow you to see that relationship. You can do some reporting. And if you have multiple people invited, there is a wiki feature. Wikis are pretty handy. They allow people to do collaboration. Because I don't have anyone invited to this, I have a standalone company at this point. Don't have partners in that. I haven't invited anyone, but you can create. Must spell correctly or people will notice. And so that's the basics of a wiki-based document. You can edit it. So it does have some rudimentary editing tools in there. Can chat. Now this, again, because I haven't invited anyone to this, I haven't explored this particular aspect a whole lot. This appears to be a public room with all Clocking IT users. Not sure I want to get into that. And then forums, if I did invite people, so if I had a client, if I had Ted and Carol Hendrickson were my moving clients, I could invite them to this particular project and then be able to show them, kind of give them status reports, then they could ask me questions, I could respond. They're probably going to pick up the telephone, especially if they're in their 70s and getting ready to move, but again, this is kind of a nice feature that's available. You may be thinking, oh yeah, we could, do web-based customer support for our training activities. You can host files. And then this is the list of the projects that I created. And you can change your preferences, change it up a little bit. Lots of different, again, ways to send notifications, ways to do the communication. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on each tool, again, just because we've got that time constraint. But Clocking IT, I think, is probably one of the most versatile options out there that is free. So that would be a great option no matter what the size of your organization would be. WiseHive is kind of a newer entry here on the scene. And they always spit out the most bizarre passwords when you reset. Logging in. I really like WiseHive because of its collaboration features. So when you mentioned that was a tool that you were potentially interested in, they've just done some upgrades to their service in the last couple of weeks, which makes it a more collaborative tool. And if we had little avatars, little pictures, we could see them over here. I like it because it allows you to create multiple projects. So my tabs across the top, if I'm creating a leadership development class and I'm working on a website for Carol, I can manage each one of these projects independently. And then there's also an ability to kind of see the big picture. What are all of my to-dos? This tool will allow you to do that quite nicely. So for the leadership development class that I am creating, it has a calendar feature. One of the drawbacks is I use another online calendaring tool. Mine happens to be called AirSet, which I love. Also,